What's up?
What's up?
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this, because I know you have been extremely busy.
Yeah, it's a little bananas.
Yeah, the Austin market is nuts.
It is. It is.
So, speaking of which,
Uh-huh.
go ahead and introduce yourself so that we're not like Tyra and I 30 minutes in. But to be fair, Tyra was in a wonderful story, and I couldn't interrupt it. I've never heard about her husband, so I was like, ooh, this is good.
Yeah, I've never met the guy either.
I didn't think he existed.
Yeah.
I've seen like two
all in
pictures.
Yeah.
I've seen like two.
He's like superimposed in all of her pictures.
Yeah, I've seen like two, and I'm like, I don't think he's real. And so, yeah, like halfway through her story, I'm like, don't forget to introduce her.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with that this time.
Sure. Well, my name is Erin Morrison. I am a residential real estate agent here in Austin, Texas. I am also a wife to a beautiful woman by the name of Sandra. We have a 4-year-old little girl by the name of Mina. And I met you at Streamline Fitness.
You did. You did. What a wonderful gym.
It is.
When you think about all the people that go there, the different people that go there,
it's pretty awesome.
there's a lot of not even necessarily successful, but a lot of people who do a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
We have some people who work in the bar scene. We got people who are realtors. We
Right.
got people who are financial advisors.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah.
I know. Shout out to Los Altos.
Yes.
I took some this morning.
Yes.
I need him to get on. But it's. I was talking about this today, actually. It's weird to continue to schedule people. I'm like, yeah, I can get you in about 8 months.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 8 months. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fair.
Not that organized with my life.
Yeah, so I've stopped scheduling people recently. And we're just going to keep it where it's at. It's like mid-October. We're going to stop there for now. Jeffrey, are we super loud?
I fixed it.
Huh?
I fixed it.
You fixed it?
I fixed it.
Okay. I was about to say, I feel like we're
adjustments.
screaming over here. Okay, cool. Sorry. Ooh. So,
Yes.
you talked about, so for people who are listening or people who don't know, we had a phone call probably about 4 weeks ago, kind of discussing what we were going to talk about today, which you spoke about really having an enjoyment for music. So, instead of favorite movie, what's your favorite song? Or what's a song that you listen to often or that has a meaning to you?
Well, the song I've been listening to most lately is When I Look at You by Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
And I was never really a Miley Cyrus fan, but I've kind of turned into like a big fangirl of her.
Oh, they've gotten I feel like they started off so young and the perception of them was so distorted.
Yeah.
Like Justin Bieber's the same way. Justin Bieber is killing it now.
Yeah.
His music is good.
Yeah.
His new stuff is good.
Like, I didn't pay attention to them when they were younger because
Yeah.
they were kids.
Yeah.
I'm also 42 years old, so they're like babies. But I've had this like new appreciation for her. Her raspy voice is sexy as shit.
Yeah.
She's hot. And anyway, so I have been listening to that song lately. I had a friend that passed away last September that was a very good friend of mine, and I sing that song whenever I feel like I'm having a rough day, and I just look to him and I just talk to him. So
that's a song that helps.
It's gonna get me emotional.
Oh, already.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. No. So that's a song that kind of just speaks to you. Or right now, at this moment. That's the song you resonate with.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you talked about how you have a great appreciation of people who do music. And then you mentioned her voice. Did you listen to the Joe Rogan episode she was on?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that's when I really became a fan, because that's why I love doing what I do right now, and that's why I love his podcast so much, is because you get a perspective of those people that you would never get anywhere else. Like, you learn so much about somebody when you sit across from them for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you just talk.
Right.
Like, there's no bullshit. You either see through it, or there's just no way you can sit here and bullshit for 3 hours and just be someone you're not. Like, that's impossible.
Right.
Unless you're just really talented. So I have an idea of what you're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But I want to know, or the viewers want to know, what I thought about this question before. What is it that you want someone to take away from the story that you're going to tell today? Or, yeah, we'll go with that first.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest thing I want people to take away is that regardless of what you go through in life, you can come out at the end and be successful, whatever that definition is, because it's subjective. My definition of success is different than yours.
Okay.
But
what is your definition of success?
My definition of success is being in a career that I enjoy, being in a loving relationship with my partner, and being a good mom, and having some financial security and some material toys to play with. That would be awesome.
Like all the bottles of perfume?
Oh my God, yeah. So I'm a perfume snob. I did not wear any today, out of respect for Mr. King Snake over there. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of my level. That's my definition of success, you know. And it's different for everybody.
Sure.
You know, what is it? Ed Milet is like way up here and has these major goals about, you know, having this beautiful mansion on Laguna Beach and Three Arch Bay and all that kind of thing. I'm not quite there. My level of success is a little bit lower. I'm just kind of content, you know, with mine. So, but yeah, that's the biggest takeaway, is that no matter what you go through, because life can throw you some shit. And if you do things right, you can come out and you can be okay.
Yeah. And I feel like you've reached that level of success.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm there. I still, of course, want to do better.
Of course.
Right? So, yeah, there's always just a little bit more. Once I get here, I set new goals.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. But I feel like you've at least reached the bare minimum of your definition of success.
Oh, yeah. I would agree.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's what you want someone to take from this. And then also, what makes you want to tell this story? Like, what makes you want to do this? Because I know it's a hard story to tell, at least the little bit that I know. And I know you're going to tell more today. So it's like, what makes you want to do this? Not everybody's as comfortable or desires to do such.
I guess the reason why I want to do it is just to let other people know that it can be done. And that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And that... yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah, kind of let other people that know that they're not alone. Or that, like you said, life can be really, really bad, but it doesn't mean that you have to give up or stop going.
Right.
That if you continue, or if you start to take control, change your mindset, change X, Y, and Z, you can come out at the other end. You just have to put a little effort in.
Absolutely.
So... All right. Where are we going to start?
Well, you know, I kind of thought about this idea of telling my story when I was in Colorado this past December. I took a solo trip. I was kind of still grieving my friend passing, and I wanted some time to just be by myself. I lived in Colorado for a number of years. I always said the mountains heal my soul. I needed to go out there for some mountain therapy.
Okay.
It was just me. And I was listening to the podcast by Austin Linney, Construct Your Life, who is somebody, who I love listening to. He's got an incredible story of coming, you know, from a place of hardship and basically constructing his life to where he is right now. And I was listening to this and I was like, thinking about how much I admired him. But then I took a step back and I was like, but Erin, you've done the same thing. Like, you have to remember like where you've come from, right? And you have a story to tell and you have gotten that far as well. So that's kind of when you and I started talking about things. My story begins, you know, I was, first of all, I was born here in Austin. So I'm like a unicorn. There's not a lot of us here. My parents were both very young when they had me, in their very early 20s. They didn't really have the support of my grandparents. My mother's side of the family didn't really accept the marriage and weren't really there a lot. And then my dad's side of the family, they were just up in New York, so they weren't physically here. So my parents had to basically do everything themselves with me. And it's hard raising a kid. They had to work 2-3 jobs each just to keep the lights on and keep me in daycare just so that they could continue to work. They jump forward. We ended up moving around a lot. And it was basically them kind of chasing where rent was most affordable, right?
So it wasn't necessarily moving around due to like military or anything like that. It was just moving around trying to find a place to be able to stay and live.
Right, right. I was the true definition of a latchkey kid. As soon as they felt that I was okay and old enough to be at home by myself, I was home by myself.
And what age was that?
I can remember that being, what was that, like 3rd grade?
So like 9?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, that's my earliest memory of that.
Okay.
So like my parents would work, and I was a true latchkey kid. We would move around a lot. Moving around a lot, I think for them, they thought that doing it when I was younger was probably the best thing because I probably wouldn't be as affected. Mm-hmm. But now, after many therapy sessions, I can now pinpoint that this is the root of why I have a lot of my issues, like the fact that I seek validation from people all the time. I lack self-confidence. I put myself in really shitty situations just to be accepted. I think the count was 7 or 8 different schools.
Okay.
The majority of the moving was done when I was in elementary school. So I was always the new kid and constantly trying to get the others to like me. I also developed very early, so I was made fun of and bullied quite a bit. And my self-esteem just went to shit. Fast forward, I was, let's see, where should I go from there?
So, well, here, let me
jump in.
Let me elaborate just a little bit. So 7 to 8 times moving around. Now, was this prior to the 3rd grade, or from what grade were the most of those moves?
Well, 7 or 8 schools, the majority of them were when I was in elementary. So
okay.
Middle school, I went to 2 different middle schools, 1 high school.
And 1 high school.
Yeah, so it settled down as I got a bit older.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but those formative years are when I was constantly trying to fit in, right? So,
and I think you also started this off with something very powerful too. That you had to take it when you listen to Austin's podcast. You admire his story so much that it took you a second to realize, like, oh, I did that. Like, I have a similar story. Like, I also went through a bunch of shit and also came out at the other end. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people forget or overlook what they've been through personally, and they kind of just push it to the side. Like, we've talked about this before. I haven't really necessarily went through much trauma, or at least, I guess, anything that I really consider trauma. But then I think back at certain things and I'm like, oh, I've been through some things here and I've been through some things there. And we're very quick to just kind of maybe lock it away or kind of push it to the side and admire other people who did things that we probably did the same as well. So I thought that was a good way to start the story.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. I pushed everything away and was like, yeah, whatever, that's what happened to me, and I kind of had forgotten about that until I had that like aha moment, and I was like, slow your roll, Erin, like you've come pretty far too, so give yourself some credit.
Yeah, you're a badass too.
yeah. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
So we're going through a bunch of different schools. Parents are working a ton. You find yourself home a lot. Being made fun of, self-esteem's going to shit. So high school.
Yeah. So I really didn't have any guidance from my parents. They honestly just didn't know any better. And when it came to making sure that I did well in school, that I applied for colleges at a certain time, I had no direction. I I was left at home quite a bit and got into some pretty hairy situations. And this was around the first time that I was sexually assaulted. We lived in an apartment complex. I was hanging out with the neighbor kids, like catty corner downstairs. And, one of the brothers, the memory is kind of hazy, but he and I kind of started talking and we went into the other room and, kids do what they do and they're experimenting and whatnot. And, I just remember telling him that I didn't want to do it anymore. And he kept going, and his brother had walked in the room, and that's the only reason why it didn't go on to full-on rape. But that was my first experience, was probably when I was about 13 years old, as far as being sexually assaulted.
So fairly young.
Fairly young, yeah. And
then another thing, too, is you also brought up that you didn't have this guidance, like there wasn't... maybe a role model or someone putting you on the right path. Mm-hmm. And I also think that's something that's important because I think parents really have to take accountability. Oftentimes, parents blame the teachers for not teaching them how to balance a checkbook or do their taxes or, like you said, just go down the right path. And oftentimes, parents are blaming teachers without taking any kind of accountability. It's like, no, you have to do your part too. Mm-hmm. Like teachers can only have so much time with your kid. Mm-hmm. They only have X amount of time to teach a certain subject. They don't have time to continue to go into depth with all this other stuff. So you as a parent, you got to take responsibility and take accountability and be like, oh, I have to have a part in my kid's life and making sure that they go down this right path. Mm-hmm.
In defense of my parents, I mean, first of all, I want to say that I have a very wonderful relationship with my parents. Yeah. We're great. But they were young and they were working all the time and they did not know. It was not like when they were growing up, as far as, having both parents working and relying on the guidance counselors and the teachers and everything else like that. That wasn't kind of how they were brought up, so they didn't know any better. So I don't want to say that that it's their fault, but
sure.
That's what happens.
Yeah, and I was also mainly talking in general speaking, just from a general consensus. There's oftentimes you see those posts on social media where they're blaming schools for not teaching X, Y, and Z, and where some of that stuff needs to fall on the parents as well. Like you have to take some kind of responsibility. Yeah. But yeah, generally speaking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay. So 13, awful experience. Mm-hmm. That's kind of your introduction into like sex. That's kind of your introduction into and that's not good.
So let me backtrack though.
Okay.
Because remember when I said that my parents were chasing the most affordable rent? Mm-hmm. We were living in my early middle school, late elementary school, so 5th, 6th grade, in an area of Houston, Guns Point, Greens Point area. And it was rough there. I was definitely the minority. There was a lot of gang activity there. While we lived there, our apartment was broken into. I walked in the door as the cigarette butt was still burning in the carpet. Like I had just missed it. My mom's car was stolen several times. My dad was held up at gunpoint during a carjacking. My sister was in kindergarten at the time, and her friend's family owned a convenience store, and they were all shot execution style. And there was this guy that would drive to my bus stop in a car where he had taken off the license plates, and he wore a mask, and he would expose and play with himself in front of me at the bus stop while I was waiting for the bus. Then I would get on the bus and I would get bullied and basically hit, hair pulled, everything by these girls on the bus that were just absolutely horrible to me. So I had a lot of that also happen prior to this sexual assault. So a lot of shit.
all of that in that short period of time is more than 95% of people will ever go through. Mm-hmm. And, okay, well, 95% of Americans will ever go through. Mm-hmm. That's wild.
I'm like shaking because I don't talk about this stuff often, so it's like bringing up a lot. So
hey, we don't have to talk about nothing you don't want to talk about. Oof. It's just when I don't know. I guess when I hear these kinds of stories, it infuriates me from a perspective of just talking with normal people and working with just normal people, and they're just always bitching. Mm-hmm. They're just always bitching, talking about, oh, my life sucks, always woe is me. That's what comes to mind when I hear these stories and people who have went through such traumatic experiences that most people just cannot relate to, cannot fathom, cannot even imagine. Mm-hmm. Like their worst day was probably one of your best days when you were that age. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it infuriates me. Well, maybe that's
the reason why. It's because the people that have gone through shit
know how bad it can get.
Know how bad it can get, and we're grateful and we're appreciative, and we don't complain, and we don't.
But it sucks that you have to go through that, because we talk because like I said, I haven't experienced none of that. I mean, I've had a small experience when I was in Florida. I was maybe 5 or 6. This guy tried to touch me in the woods, and ended very quickly. I was like, nah, dude. Took off, went home, told my mom, boom. That was the end of that, right? It was very quick, very swift. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't anything like what you're talking about. And it sucks that people can't self-reflect or take a step back and be like, you know, my life's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, I got a job. Mm-hmm. I have a roof. Mm-hmm. I can eat every day. Mm-hmm. And my life's not that bad. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I just feel like it's just so much easier to go through life with that perspective versus just always like, oh, woe is me. Like, especially when there's people like you still kicking, still living, still, and turning into this wonderful person that you are now. Mm-hmm. It infuriates me.
Yeah.
It infuriates me.
I guess it's kind of like the kids, right? Like, I told you it's hot. You want to put but you don't know it's hot unless you actually get your hand burned, right?
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, and sometimes I'm a little too hard on people, but it's just like, because I hear these stories. Like I grew up in some of these parts of the states where, like when I lived in Maryland, it was not a very good area. When I lived in North Carolina, it was not a very good area. I'm from Killeen. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of activity in that area that will make you be like, oh, yeah, other places aren't that bad.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. But yeah, it's true. You kind of have to, in order to have that perspective, you have to experience something. But that was kind of my point, though. I haven't experienced anything to that nature, but I still feel like I have that perspective.
That's good. Yeah.
And so
You're the exception.
I guess, but why? Why though? Why? What makes me the exception?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes you different. What makes your character that much different? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's just something that I think about. I'm just like, what? Yeah, but yeah. Continue.
Oh yeah, so all that happened when I was in 5th and 6th grade. Obviously, my parents were like, we can't live here anymore. And we moved to Spring, Texas. Okay. And that's where I finished out my middle school and high school years, was in that. And it was that was the longest stint, obviously, you know, where I could actually like make friends and keep them and like grow with these people. And stay in one place.
And did things get better for your parents? Like, were they still working as much in order to live there, or?
No, they had gotten to the point where they were each working one job.
Okay. So a little bit more normal.
A little bit more normal. Okay. So my dad is a liturgical minister for the Catholic Church. And this. So there was a lot of him being gone at night for choir practices and stuff like that. My mom was, she worked at MD Anderson. So she worked the normal 9 to 5.
Okay.
So they had pretty normal jobs, right? In high school, I got really involved with the church, heavily involved with the youth group. I was also the chaplain of our high school choir, which is now kind of funny to me because, yeah. But yeah, so I got really kind of heavy into that. I was in band and in choir and in theater and did all the normal stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, ended up doing okay through that.
So you would say high school was much better than than elementary and beginning of middle school.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So things are looking up a little bit.
Things are looking up a little bit. Being that my dad worked for the Catholic Church, I grew up in a very strict household. Wasn't allowed to wear makeup until a certain age. I couldn't even wear contacts until I was 16.
Wait, why?
Because it was considered cosmetic.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. What?
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah. No, and I've had glasses since I was in kindergarten. I mean, they can burn ants. They're thick. And yeah, so I didn't get contacts until I was 16.
Okay.
So it was a very
Was that the age that you got to start wearing makeup at 16?
it was around that time.
What's the thought process?
It was
like,
just
okay, now you're 16. Yeah, go for it.
You're just becoming more of an adult. It was just a milestone, right?
Okay.
And so, anyways, I had a kind of a strict and sheltered upbringing. I wasn't allowed to go to any parties, anything after football games, nothing like that. I think my only taste of alcohol was Zima with my friend at the time.
Wait, what's Zima?
Shut up. Oh, I'm so old. Okay, so Zima is like this. I think
Jeffrey, you know what Zima is?
Google it.
Don't know what Zima is? Okay, I don't feel bad.
Guys. It's like this really tasty.
Whoa.
Isn't it a malt liquor?
The bottle's kind of fancy.
Yeah, so we used to put Jolly Ranchers in those.
Oh.
And so you could flavor it like watermelon, strawberry, whatever.
So for those who are well, I guess even if you're watching this or listening, you can't see the bottle, but it's like a clear bottle with a blue logo.
Yeah.
And it's spelled Zima if you're curious. Do they still make this?
Yeah, get out the images. Is it a malt liquor?
It says it's a clear, lightly carbonated alcohol beverage made by Coors, alternative to beer.
Oh, so it's kind of it's not very.
No, they don't make it.
It's not super strong.
No.
Or it is. Okay.
It doesn't. I mean,
it's not like a.
I mean, I didn't get wasted on it.
Sure, it's not like going to the store and getting a Four Loko.
4.7% alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was not
Gotcha.
bad.
Okay.
Do you know what Boone's Farm is? Boone's Farms? Oh, Jesus, Mary, Joseph. That's like look up Boone's Farm.
Boone's Farm.
Yeah, it was like this cheap ass wine. Yeah.
Oh, they still make it.
Yeah.
How?
Strawberry Hill.
Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
How much is that bottle?
$3.99.
$3.99 wine?
Deal.
Oh, we've been fucking up this entire
What a
time.
deal.
Better than $2 Chuck, I'm telling you.
Wow.
7.5% alcohol.
7.5 for $3.99. That's not bad. That's a bargain. Yo, if
Yeah,
you're
so
looking
that's
to get...
the shit I used to drink.
Fair enough.
And experimented with.
Sure.
But I didn't really do that much in high school. So that kind of sets you up to know that after I graduated, my parents and I had kind of a falling out because I didn't have any direction. I did not get confirmed in the Catholic Church because I said I didn't necessarily believe that was the one true way to heaven and the only church. And so I wanted to go and explore different religions.
Okay.
And that kind of didn't sit well.
What else did you explore?
I haven't really done
Fair enough.
a little bit of Buddhism. I went to like some non-denominational churches, but not as much as like I really ought to have. I really should have researched more. But I just knew like I didn't want to stand up there and be like, yeah, this is the one true church, and when I hadn't been exposed to anything else.
Yeah.
So, we were already on shaky grounds with that. And then I didn't have any direction when it came to college. what I was going to do with my life. And around this time is also when my mom became disabled. So my mom has degenerative disc disorder.
Okay.
And when she was first disabled, it took a year for them to give her a diagnosis. So it was really intense on my parents' relationship just because she was constantly in pain and the doctors were telling her basically it was in her head. Right.
Okay.
So, and it was just such a lifestyle change for all of us to try and accommodate with having someone that was disabled in our house. When my mom was, working at MD Anderson, she was also in the Navy reserves. So she would like get up every morning and do like 3 miles. So she was like super mom, right?
Yeah.
So, where am I going?
Well,
okay. So, I graduate high school. Everything's kind of like on shaky ground with my family just because of everything, right? And I say I'm moving out.
Okay.
And actually my parents gave me the gift of independence for my birthday. Basically, they asked me to move out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
the gift of independence. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah. I gave him a big middle finger at the time, but I get it. But anyway, so I get my own apartment and I am basically free to do whatever I want. I'm not in college. I'm kind of just working odds and end jobs. And I start going out. And there's this club in North Houston, called Night Moves. And it was 18 and up. And it was dollar you call it. And I would, become friends with the bartenders and they'd give me shots and beers and stuff like that. And I was up there probably like 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh, it's turn up time.
I'm sorry?
It's turn up time.
It was turn up time all the time.
Yeah.
Just like Tyra, I love karaoke. So I was always doing karaoke up there. But it's also kind of when I first was exposed to heavy drinking and then drugs. And my first experience with drugs was with that group that I had met there, and we did ecstasy for the first time, and I was in trouble after that.
Dude, it's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm shaking again because it just brings that out.
Yeah,
that was the beginning of my my drug days and my spiral, and I was high 7 days a week. I would show up to work the next morning still high.
What was your drug of choice?
X. I did X. I did a shit ton of coke. I only did meth once, and I would never do anything with needles.
It's a good standard.
Yeah. So some people say that X is like you can't not habit forming, and I call bullshit. Like I had a true physical response when I did not have it in me. They lace that shit with like heroin and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so like I would feel like my fingers and my lips going numb.
So it wasn't just like the euphoric aspect of it. You were also getting high from whatever else was in
Correct. There. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was around this time that I met this guy, and here's where I'll get back into seeking validation and acceptance. Looking back, I'm like, geez, he was such a douche. But I walked up to him, and I had heard about him from high school, so like I just assumed that he was this popular good guy. We ended up kind of, talking, and he treated me like shit. Treated me like absolute shit. And I was like, oh, well, he's popular. Like, I know this guy's well-known, and I want to be well-known, and I want to have fun and be accepted by everybody. So I just went with it.
Okay.
And that guy was also a drug dealer to an extent. And we ended up in a relationship where it was very, very physical. And he cheated on me several times. It was pretty bad. Here I was completely out of control with drugs, dating this guy who was a dealer, and it was physical. It was not good. There was one instance where we were in an argument, and I guess he threw like a can of tomatoes or something at me, and it hit me in my face.
Ow.
And my tooth went through my lip.
Ow.
And it's just gushing out blood,
Yeah.
right? And he immediately starts apologizing, of course. And we end up going to the emergency room. And the nurse that was there, remember my friend that passed away in September? It was his mom. And she was like, she took me away. It was just me and her. And I had told them that I had fallen in the shower face forward, that I had passed out. Because I was skinny as a rail. I was like 90 pounds, right?
Okay.
From doing all this shit. And I just that I passed out. And she was like, honey, you and I both know that he did this to you and that you didn't fall. And I just got real quiet, you know? Like, that was the first time someone had come to me and said, we see what's going on.
Called it out.
And called it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would think that would be enough for me to leave, but I didn't, because I was constantly like wanting him to love me more. Like, why are you hurting me and treating me like this and cheating on me? I need to do something to make you love me, to value me, and to want to be with me so that you don't treat me like this anymore.
Okay.
So I stayed with him for, like I said, about 2 years. My parents ended up getting involved. They actually hired a private investigator. At some point, he and I had gotten into another argument. I asked if I could come home to my parents' house. They said, sure, no problem. But no more seeing him. And I was like, okay. Well, the dude keeps calling. Back then when we had actual phones, landlines. And I didn't know this, but my parents had tapped the phones. And the guy had basically gotten angry and said that he was going to come to my house and kill my whole fucking family. So now we had this on tape. My parents used it, and they charged him, and they put him in jail.
Okay.
And thank God that they did, because without them, I think I would have stayed in that horrible, toxic relationship. So he goes to jail, and I kind of start living life again, because he was there for like 6 months. So I just kind of, was like, okay, well, I'm going to get back to work and, living life without him around. And around this time is when I met my ex-husband. And I call this guy my angel, because I, again, was like, I want him to like me. I want him to like me. He's cute. I want him to like me. And we were kind of flirtatious and hanging out. And I told him I really wanted to be his girlfriend. And he said, yeah, no. He was like, I don't date people that do drugs. And I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, well, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. And that was it. That was well, I mean, the hard drugs. I mean, I still enjoy that. The green every once in a while, but the hard shit was...
The hard shit went away. The overly toxic.
Yeah. So, so I call him my angel to this day, because I so wanted him to like me, and he called me out, right? And I was like, I don't want to be that person to him. I want him to like me. So,
So it's almost as if like that characteristic went from being a very, very awful thing to being one of your strongest characteristics at that moment.
At that moment, yeah. I still don't think that's necessarily a characteristic you want to lean on.
Sure, no, absolutely. But in that moment, it might have saved your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I call him my angel. Like, again, had my parents not intervened, had I not met my ex-husband, I was doing drugs all the time.
Yeah.
I could have easily gotten myself into horrible situations. There were plenty of times I should be dead. I mean, like, I vividly remember being high as a kite and like driving on 45 thinking that the tail lights in front of me of the cars were flares in the road. And like, you just horrible shit, and seeing horrible things. Like, I lived in a sleeping bag in someone's apartment because I had been evicted. We had no furniture, and this guy was coming over with our drugs, and he ended up just going into the bathroom real quick, and I walked in on him, and he was shooting up. And I've seen plenty of like drug deals go down with like multiple guns and just like it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
a crazy fucking time. So I'm glad I met my ex and he got me out of that. Yeah.
And what's his name?
Todd. Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah. We ended up getting married together for a total of 10 years. We were married for 5. We got divorced. It was kind of tumultuous. We didn't speak for like 2 years after we got the divorce. But, you know, I just told him that I didn't want to be angry all the time. Like, I don't like that negative feeling. Like, there was a reason why we enjoyed each other so much and got married. And I want to respect that. It may be that chapter is over, but I still want to respect who he is as a person and respect that we had that, you know? And so we're actually pretty good friends. He's coming in town next week, in 2 weeks or something like that, to go visit his brothers live here.
Okay.
So
Where does he live now?
West Virginia.
Oh, so he's making a trip.
Well, yeah. Part of his family lives up there. Yeah.
So he lives up in West Virginia. He's coming down. That's cool. So you get to see. Are y'all gonna have lunch or see each other?
I'm sure. Yeah. We'll probably see each other.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, let's see. Met him. He helped me kind of get clean. That was kind of really the end of like all of that kind of crazy shit.
Okay.
Like after that, things kind of like calmed down. Like I got myself like a big girl job.
What'd you do?
I worked at an oil and gas company called Anadarko.
Okay.
So I was a waitress at Landry's in the Woodlands.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another spot.
With Todd. That's where I met him.
Okay.
And then a bunch of my other friends. And Anadarko was right across the street.
Okay.
And the offshore construction manager used to come in all the time. And he was one of my regulars 4 or 5 times a week. And he asked me if I wanted a job, and I was like, oil and gas is the devil, you know? And he was like, I'll pay you this much. And I was like, I will see you on Monday.
Here's my soul.
Exactly. So, got myself a big girl job with like benefits and a salary and everything. And that was kind of like that was like the end of all the crazy shit. How was the shift?
No, that was the shift.
That was kind of the shift. Yeah. Another shift, right?
So now it went from... at this point, almost no craziness.
Yeah, not much.
Now
I mean,
calm down significantly,
considerably.
Okay, so we get a big girl job. Life's going decent, much better at least, right? How do you get here in Austin, and how did you get into real estate?
Okay, so I worked in oil and gas for 17 years.
Okay.
When Anadarko acquired 2 companies up in Colorado, I was like, sign me up. I had never seen mountains. I had never seen snow. I had lived in this like Texas bubble my whole life. So moved up there for a while. Todd and I ended up getting a divorce. I met my now wife, and long story short, we had decided that we were going to start a family soon, and it was important to us to have our daughter be around both sets of grandparents, which were back down in Louisiana and Texas.
Okay.
So that's how we ended up back in Austin and in Texas. As far as getting into real estate, the oil and gas market started to go to shit in 2014. I was laid off. There's a whole story behind that, but I was laid off, and there's like 3 oil and gas companies in Austin. It wasn't like I had many options.
Yeah.
And I had always really been interested in real estate. I would always, whenever I would vacation or go somewhere, look to see what homes were going for, what they sold for. I was just kind of really interested in all of that. And I just felt like I had a calling. So I got my license and I hit the ground running and haven't looked back.
There you go.
I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now is batshit crazy.
It is bananas. Yeah, it's bananas. It's intense. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, so I have a real estate coach, and I legit told her, like, the joy is being taken away out of my job.
Yeah.
And when you don't have joy in what you do, you don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. But, you know, and I had to kind of do some exercises to kind of like refocus and get my mind right, you know, but this is my passion, and I literally can't think of doing anything else. So
That's good.
But it's intense.
Yeah, and it sucks when that happens because, I mean, what we do is by no means isn't necessarily our joy, but it's also not very difficult either. But it sucks. Just some days you're just like, fuck this place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sucks because it really is easy, and we're so well compensated for what we do.
Yeah.
And so it sucks to have that mindset some days, but it's just like, fuck, same thing over and over. But yeah, no, it sucks when that joy kind of gets taken away because it is hard to go to work. And then even just going there, you're like, okay, I'm here now. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk to the customers coming in. Like, no, you're good. Yeah, just take a lap.
Yeah.
You want something? No, all right, cool. Have a good day. Yeah, right. You good? All right, cool. Bye.
Yeah.
No, so it sucks when that joy gets taken away. So you met your wife in Colorado. How did that happen?
So my ex-husband and I were separated, and I had kind of always kind of like toyed with my sexuality, like not toy, but just kind of questioned it. I mean, back then, mind you, my quote unquote college years, even though I didn't really go to college, was around the year 2000. And back then, being like, it was pretty taboo, right? Still to like be gay, lesbian.
Definitely.
Like Ellen like was having an issue with coming out on her show, you know, like that's kind of when that was. Yeah. And so, you know, I had like made out with girls in the bars, in the bathroom and stuff, and I liked it. And I really like found myself attracted to girls, but it was anytime I would talk to them about it, they would just be like, oh, we're just playing, we're just like messing around, and I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever. My first experience sexually with a girl was like waking a sleeping lion.
Okay.
Like I was just like, oh, okay.
This is prior or after the ex-husband?
This was before we got married.
Okay.
Ironically, he didn't consider, I came home, I felt so guilty. It was a bachelorette party, and I felt so guilty, like, with what I had done. And he was like, it's another girl, I don't consider it cheating. I was like, okay.
Maybe you should ask the follow-up question.
Right? So, I mean, we were together for 10 years, so obviously I told him later, you know, like, that I had attractions and that, you know, this was something I wanted to explore. So when we separated, this was something I really wanted to try.
Okay.
Right. And it was 10 years later. So it was a little bit more socially acceptable to do these kinds of like to explore and try these things out. So, I reached out to a friend of mine in Houston, Tracy, who's moving to Austin. Shout out to Tracy.
Yay.
And she's a lesbian, and I was like, girl, you gotta like take me under your wing, take me to the girl clubs, like help me out.
Okay.
She was like, I got you. So we went out to this club in Houston. I met up with some of her friends, and they were like, oh, well, we have this chick in Colorado, like you guys should totally like meet. She'll help you, like she'll take you to all the clubs and all the places and everything. I was like, great. And so they gave us, we exchanged numbers, got each other's information, and she and I started texting, and basically it was supposed to be that she was going to kind of like show me the ropes and kind of like, you know, take me out and introduce me to places. We ended up flirting a lot, and tequila happened, and
fucking tequila.
Yeah. And it was a good time. Neither one of us wanted to get into a relationship. I mean, fresh out of a divorce, right? And she was fresh out of a relationship that broke her heart. And so both of us were like pushing the other person away, but we were just so attracted to each other. We dated pretty much, I want to say it was like a full year before we actually like became true like exclusive girlfriends.
Like together. Which
in the lesbian world is not traditional. Like the lesbian joke is like, what do you do on a first date? You know, you go out. What do you do on a second date? You get the U-Haul. And
Okay.
you've never heard this?
I can't say that I have.
Oh, yeah. They it's a joke because
just-
girls move very quickly.
Okay.
And she and I took a good year to even just become exclusive. Yeah, so that's how we met. And like I said, tequila happened and now we have a kid. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay. Wow. Threw it. Ooh, that's got to process everything.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
So you're in real estate now.
Mm-hmm.
Busy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
What? I guess how do you see this going for the rest of the year? Like, how do you see?
Oh, okay.
How do you see Austin and real estate going for the rest of the year?
Okay. Well, I can talk like forever about real estate. So
Cool,
you
we
just
got
tell me when
time.
to tell me when to stop.
We got time.
So the Austin market, I think we're at the very beginning of a big boom, much like we saw with San Francisco.
Okay.
We had a perfect storm of events that created the clusterfuck that we're in right now. We already had limited inventory, and then COVID hit.
Yep.
And when COVID hit, everybody was scared, and sellers certainly didn't want people going through their house. So now we had even less inventory on the market. And interest rates went down to like 2.5%, which is just like you're basically paying cash for a house.
Yeah.
So then we had all these buyers that were like, well, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a house. And so then we had all these announcements with like the Teslas, the Amazons, the
Google,
the Oracle. I mean, everybody, right? I want to say that it was the Oracle announcement that's when I felt like the shift. When I felt like this panic buying coming from California primarily. We have a lot of investors coming in here and flooding the market with and paying crazy amounts over asking price
Way
on these
over.
houses. So it's just jacked these prices up, right, on our homes. And we still just don't have enough inventory. Builders now have waiting lists that are hundreds, if not thousands of people long. They require substantial non-refundable deposits.
Larkspur is like what, 2023 at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And they're starting at 405 for like 1,300 square feet.
Yeah. I had somebody text me today, like asking me about a community, and they're like, "Oh, the new phase is opening up in June," and I'm like, how long is the waiting list? Like, we need to call and find that out. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, builders can't keep up. Then lumber prices are going up, and then we can't get appliances. And then, like, even the radiant barriers for, like, the roof, you can't get anymore. So it's, like, causing all these. It's just a cluster of, like.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
There's a lot of moving pieces. So people ask me all the time, like, you know, do you see a bubble? Are prices going to come down? And I legitimately do not see prices coming down.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense if you think the prices are just going to dissipate like that. Mm-hmm. I don't see how you think that's going to happen.
It's simple supply and demand.
Yeah.
There's no product out there, which is why it's so hard for my job right now.
And they're not going to stop moving here yet.
Right.
Like, we're just getting started.
Right.
So I don't see this ending anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. I mean, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know.
Anything could happen. But logically, we would take something
COVID,
crazy. Yeah.
Right? And we're still in this position.
Yeah.
So I just don't see anything happening to make it so that our prices come down.
I agree. I think they either stay stagnant. Mm-hmm. At some point, they might level off.
Yeah.
But to come back down to where they were, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Happen.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And interest rates, I mean, they're kind of going up. They're at hovering around 3.5. And I think the Federal Reserve said that it's going to kind of stay around that. I got
quoted like 4% the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know you don't like that because of the position that you're in, but I feel like we need it.
I'm selling. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm selling.
But we need that. We need a correction, right?
Yeah, for sure.
First of all, we needed the prices to correct a little bit, and then we need our interest rates to go up so that buyers don't have as much buying power.
Yeah.
So that'll help. Anyways.
No, that's perfect. I want to hear about this because I think there's going to be people listening to this who either A, want to invest in real estate, B, are getting 25 calls a day to sell their house, or X, Y, and Z. So 2 things off of that then. What's your advice to someone who is now in a house currently that they're just seeing people next door's house going for 100, 200K over asking? What's your advice to these people?
If you don't have to sell, don't sell.
Okay.
Because this is just the beginning.
Keep holding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I went over to someone's house. Devin recommended her to me, and we were talking, and she was considering selling, and I basically told her not to sell her house.
Yeah, you posted about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like I'm the worst salesperson, and I'm not going to make any money because I'm telling people don't sell your house.
Yeah, but if you can hold out,
yeah,
it's going to be worth way more.
It's going to be totally worth it.
I know. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to sell, and there's going to be a day where I regret selling immediately. But dude, I don't want to pay. I didn't want to pay for the house in the first place. I did this with the purpose of doing what I'm doing.
Just by flipping it.
Yeah, because I have 2 options. I either A, sell immediately and look to take back as much cash as possible, or B, live with 3 people. And I don't.
You're not willing to get uncomfortable?
I don't know. Man, I love money as much as the next person, and I have big aspirations and big dreams when it comes to the amount of money I want to stack up and the moves I want to make. But I don't know if I can put a price tag on my happiness again.
Yeah.
And to me, living with roommates again is kind of putting a price tag on my happiness. It's like, I love going home and it just being me and the dog. Like it's boring sometimes, but oftentimes I spend all day talking. I do this. I go to work, which is all day worth of talking. When I come home, I'm like, oh, thank God. Whew. It's just quiet.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I can go now. If I still had a roommate now, it probably wouldn't be an issue. I would probably continue to have roommates, and I would live in the house.
But now that you've had that taste of
now that I've been alone in a 1-bedroom for a year now, I'm like, I don't think I can go backwards.
Yeah.
And I know there's probably going to be a day where the house is worth $600,000, $500,000 maybe. But I'm still gonna be able to sell it for like $450.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna make a chunk of change, and all I had to do was just hand someone $5,000.
Yeah.
So
back in the good old days.
Yeah, it's just
now not so much.
Yeah. So $5,000 was all I had to hand, and I got to give them $6,000 here in a couple months. But that's because I'm changing the loan because I can't. I was going to do a USDA loan because I planned on renting the rooms out. Now that I've decided that I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and give them the down payment in so that I can get that back. And there's probably going to be a day where I'm like, damn, I should have just sucked it up. I'm not married. I don't have no kids. Should have just sucked it up and I could have made another $100,000. But
and it doesn't have to be permanent. If you do it for 6 months, you still have gained that 6 months. Look at where we were 6 months ago.
I know.
With our house prices. So it doesn't have to be permanent. You can just kind of test it out.
$2,600 a month. Like, it would be so it's another driving force of my decision is that they lowered our commissions back down to pre-COVID. So I went from making really good money to now making what I was before COVID, which is still decent money, but it's half of what I was making 2 months ago. And 2 months ago, paying $2,600 by myself, no problem. Cool. Here you go. I'll live there by myself. 2 months now, it's like, Oh, fuck.
Yeah, all the more reason to have a roommate. Yeah.
No, I can't do it. That's a whole paycheck just straight to the house. And I can't live that way.
Yeah.
I don't live that way.
Not to mention property taxes are going to go up as all our house values go up too. And I don't think a lot of people are taking that into consideration, especially these investors.
There's going to be a lot of people hurting in a year or two. It's going to suck.
So
and I don't want to be in that position.
People that own or occupy can file a homestead exemption, which basically makes it so that you cap out at 10% every year, right?
Okay.
But investors don't get that, so they don't get that cap. So all of these people that are buying here are about to get a rude awakening when property taxes continue to go up every 2-3 years. 30-40%.
And I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to be in that position. And it would already be a stretch to even live in the house. I enjoy my steak dinners. I eat steak all the time. I go out to eat whenever I want. At the grocery store, I just pick what I want and I swipe. I get the dog whatever she wants. I live still way below my means. I still put a lot of money away and I invest a lot of money. But I also swipe without thought. Like, I never check my bank account. I don't ever do any of that. I just buy what I want. But naturally, I'm pretty decent at. In my head, I'm like, ooh, okay, this month, all right, we're going to chill a little bit. And so, yeah, there might be a day where I regret it, but I think I'm just going to take my cash and run.
What are you going to do with it?
So, I have a few options. So, a few things that I'm thinking of. One thing is reinvesting it into an investment property and renting it completely out. Putting down a decent amount of change and just renting it out, but probably not here in town. It would probably be in Killeen.
Get you like a fourplex in Killeen.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, I don't know if I could afford a fourplex, but I've seen twoplexes that
Find a partner.
I could definitely afford. I don't know anybody. I don't know. Well, I know that, but I don't know. I personally don't know anybody with the amount of cash, enough cash. Like, I've reached out to certain people who I thought had the money or would maybe have the money.
I work for a brokerage where they will partner with you. You find the deal. If the numbers make sense, they will partner with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk.
I got you.
Yeah, we'll talk. So that's one idea, right? A duplex or a fourplex in Killeen. We also talked about an apartment syndication. That might ruin the rest of my plans because I would probably have to part way with all of it. And I don't know if I want to part way with all of it. So another one of my plans is potentially doing the podcast virtually and going and living in Thailand for a couple months.
Hell yeah.
So I'm thinking, I had the realization that I would be terrified to do this by myself. And I wish I just had someone who would go with me. So if you're listening to this, no bullshit. No bullshit. If you're listening to this and you want to go and live in Thailand for a couple months, honestly, you just got to show up.
I'm kind of jelly.
Yeah, buy your plane ticket and just show up. We'll live so inexpensively that you don't got to bring a lot of money with you. Just show up. I'm such a city boy. Like, and I know I could do it. I mean, I can do. I know I could do it, but it would be terrifying because it's not a language that is.
Oh yeah,
it's not a language that I have any idea about, right?
Yeah,
it's not like if I went and lived in It's not like if I went and lived in Central America or South America where they spoke Spanish. I'd be like, okay, cool, I can do this.
Yeah,
I speak a decent amount and I'll learn the rest. Like, I would survive. But going to a whole different country.
What made you pick Thailand?
Oh, dude, I just love it. I love it. The food.
The reason why I'm asking is, like, why not Italy? The Italian is very similar to Spanish.
I was just in Italy. I love it there.
Yeah.
More expensive. I'm thinking, so this is my thought process, right? Getting a chunk of change back. Hopefully, well, I don't really want to say, but enough. And thinking about getting a rental property, investing, and then keeping enough to where I could live off of in a country for at least 3 months. And in Thailand, you can live off $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
easy.
I think that's lavishly. Really awesome because as a 42-year-old now that's kind of old and married with a kid and tied down, like I have to say, like that sounds so appealing to me to be able to like do that in your life before you get to the marriage and the kids. I know,
and I want to do it for y'all. Like I that's what I want to do it for that exact reason. Mm-hmm. But it's terrifying. Yeah. It's terrifying. What if I get lost?
Lean into the fear, man.
I know, and I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But I was smoking and I was sitting on the couch and I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers. He just goes around and goes to different countries and just eats a bunch of different food, and I just sit there and watch him eat food. Which when you say it out loud, it's really weird.
Imagine that. But, you're watching people eat food while you're high.
Right? It's weird, right? I wonder what made me do that. I do it sober too. But his YouTube channel is huge. Shout out to Mikey Chin. He just moved to Dallas, actually, and he's doing food tours here in Texas. He just went to Houston. He'll be in Austin here soon, and he's going to go around trying out a bunch of different spots, and I cannot wait to watch the video and then follow.
Yeah.
I love trying new food, and I just love food.
Yeah.
Like, I just have such a love for food.
Yeah.
With the exception of this and Muay Thai, food is like, boom. And working out, food is like, up there. Mm-hmm. Like I get such an enjoyment from eating food. Mm-hmm. And Thai food and then Vietnamese food are very high on my list. Mm-hmm. I can eat pho all the time.
Oh, I need to go to your pho place.
Yes, we'll go. Okay. We'll go. Let me know when you're down because we need to talk about some stuff anyways.
Yeah.
I can eat pho all the time.
Yeah.
It's so good. And there's no place here in Austin that I know of at least where they serve pho and they open up before 11. Like pho is also a breakfast meal. I want to get pho in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Because the broth is made from bone marrow, so it has all that collagen in there, all those healthy nutrients, and it's just supposed to just set your day right. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to just make you feel good, easy, a light bowl. I mean, it's a light dish calorically, but it's
very nutritious.
Yeah, it's dense. It holds you over for a long time.
I just thought of a name for a pho place.
Ooh.
Fud up.
Oh.
Let's get fud up.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
But you just said, but now everybody knows.
Oh, well.
All 100 viewers know now. So if you're listening,
pay me royalties.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, better not steal that fucking idea. Dude, that's a great idea. Another thing I've thought about. This is what I do all day. This is how my brain works. Mm-hmm. So another thing I've thought about is a comedy club. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I have a love for. And how cool would it be to just spend all day around comedians? Mm-hmm. There'd be a lot, and I know Joe Rogan. Look at the podcast, dude. Joe Rogan fanboy. Hey, fuck off. But yeah, for real though. but that's what it is though.
Are very. They're talk about okay.
Dude, so they're the smartest. They're the smartest people. I have a theory that comedians might be some of the smartest people in the world. You have to stay current, keep up with everything, and then find the funny in it. Mm-hmm. That's hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a very special mind to do that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Sorry.
What I was going to say is how funny that you bring up comedians because they too usually come from pretty
fucked up childhoods
mm-hmm. or situations, and they use that in their material. So this whole conversation has just come full circle.
Ooh. So, okay. Speaking of which, this is a good question then. Joe Rogan talks about this all the time. Mm-hmm. He talks about, because he came from a pretty shitty upbringing, and he talks about this a lot. He's like, he said the exact same thing. He said all of his friends all came from fucked up childhoods. Mm-hmm. And then now they're all widely successful. Mm-hmm. And he talks about if he's setting his kids up for failure by his success.
Oh, yeah. I heard this.
So that's a question for you. Mm-hmm. So seeing how you were raised and the things that happened to you, how does that affect how you raise your kid? Because the things that you went through made you who you are now. Mm-hmm. They gave you that work ethic. They gave you that drive. They gave you that perspective. They gave you that mentality to get you to where you are now as a human being. Obviously, you don't want your kid to go through any of the shit you went through.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the outcome of kids not suffering any adversity, any, I don't want to say trauma. Trials.
Yeah.
We're seeing the effects of it now with these kids who are soft. Soft. How do you go down that line, that balance?
Well, my wife and I disagree about this a little bit because I want to be very open and honest with my daughter. There's going to be a point in time where I feel like she's going to be old enough to know about some of the things that happened in my life.
I would agree with that.
But my wife and I have basically said that these are conversations that we'll have when we get there, right? My wife doesn't necessarily agree that I need to be as transparent and everything with my daughter. So
what's her thought process? Like, why does she?
Just that there's, I'm her mom, and she doesn't necessarily need to know everything about like what happened.
But don't you think that is a way for her to gain perspective without going through the same stuff?
Hey, look, I understand. That's my viewpoint. Yeah. We come from different upbringings. My wife came from a very conservative upbringing where those kinds of things were not discussed with kids. So it's just a very different perspective. I do believe that there's going to be a time where I want to be completely open and transparent with my daughter. By the way, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I felt it was very poignant that I was on the show.
Absolutely. In April.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really shitty because I was thinking about this on the way here. I was like, man, it's really shitty that we even have to have this month, right? And statistically speaking, most women have been sexually assaulted versus not. And that just makes me cringe when I think about my daughter.
It's awful.
What my daughter's going to have to go through. Because statistically speaking, something's going to happen. The
odds aren't in her favor.
Yeah.
It's trash. Yeah, and I think we're getting a little bit better as a society, but it's much, we have to stop teaching women how to not get raped and teach men not to rape. Like, it's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked about this in Tyra's episode. She is a physical, she is a physical threat.
Yes.
She will kill you. Roth was terrified. Like, she will kill you. And she still gets catcalled and whistled at and like,
yeah.
What are you thinking?
Oh my God. So she told a story about how some dude like told her that she had a good physique in the grocery store. My dad did that to somebody in the grocery store. And my dad, I love Dad, if you're listening, I love you. You
better listen.
He's we're all a little awkward in our own ways, right? But my dad, I got into physical fitness from my dad. My dad loves going to the gym. He was a bodybuilder, and he genuinely appreciates the art of building your body.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
I can understand that.
He was trying to give a compliment to this girl, I think it was a girl, maybe it was a guy. Just genuinely like, hey man, you've got a really beautiful physique, and it was like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you talking? So when Tyra said that story, I was like, oh my God, that's my dad.
No, but I can get that though. I can get that. I admire both women and men's physiques. Like, I can be scrolling through Instagram and be like, dang, motherfucker's jacked. Like,
but do you walk up to them in the store and say that? Or do you just keep it to yourself?
No, I keep it to myself.
Yeah.
I keep it to myself. But I can see. But we also talked about that in the episode prior. Samantha talked about how she's bad at giving compliments and receiving compliments. So we also talked about that because we talk about this. It's a common theme on the podcast. It's just like when you're walking down the street, just say hi to the person. Like, don't avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You're making it more weird by being weirder. And it's kind of, I guess, I mean, it is weird to walk up to somebody and say you like their physique, but someone who, there might be someone that you tell that to that doesn't take it that way, and it makes their day. Like, it would make my day.
Yeah.
But I'm also not you would have to be a ginormous human being to really pose a fit, like, in order for me mentally to pose a threat to me in my head. Like, you might still be able to whoop my ass. It's very possible, but I wouldn't perceive it that way unless you were this. You would have to be a ginormous human being to get that, like, fear from me. So I guess I would appreciate it, but that's from my perspective. I don't know.
Yeah.
But those compliments can make someone's day.
They
can also be a little weird.
They can be a little.
But what's the difference?
I think his actual words were something like, "I like your V-taper."
Okay. That's completely different, Erin.
So, like, if you guys know the sport of bodybuilding at all, the V-taper is like from the width of your shoulders to the narrow of your waist, right? And it's something that is physically appealing. Like, they look at this during bodybuilding shows and you get scored on it. So
okay, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking about the V-taper right above your crotch.
Before. No.
Okay. I'm following now.
No.
Shoulder to hip to waist ratio.
Yes.
Okay.
Shoulder to waist.
I'm following now. But yeah, I was like, yeah, that's completely different.
No, not that V-taper.
Oh, that's completely different. Oh. Okay, no, I would appreciate that because we work hard for that. Like, we put in the work every single day at the gym. We skip those meals with our friends that we shouldn't have in order to achieve that. And so I would appreciate. That's why there's no
Skittles today.
It's true, or wine. But wine's not bad. You know, Matthew McConaughey said when he dropped all that weight for Dallas, the doctor told him he could have as much wine as he wanted.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't eat.
I think that was the purpose of the wine.
Yeah. You need some calories.
Yeah.
At least you can have fun while you're doing it.
I feel like we got off on such a tangent.
That's okay.
I feel like this stemmed from a question and we only answered half of it. I think it was I was asking you, that's where we start. We were talking about real estate.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about selling. Should you sell your house or not? And then here we are talking about V-tapers. All right, so let's go back to the other question because I know I have people in my friend circle. Shout out to Reggie. If you listen to this, I know that you're going to be interested in this next question. Then what would your advice be to people trying to invest here in Austin?
Just find something.
Or just, let's say investing in general in this area. Because Austin is unrealistic for most people. So let's say Austin and its surrounding area.
Yeah. If you cannot financially do it yourself, find a partner. Because it will be lucrative and you guys will both 50% of 100 is better than 0%, right?
Yep.
So find yourself a partner. If you want to do it all on your own, as far as the other option is if you find a deal, find somebody that has the cash and they'll finance it and you can, you brought them the deal. So that's kind of your contribution. As far as investing in Austin and the surrounding area, I would just say get in as soon as you can. I have investors right now. We're paying well over asking price. We're part of those people that are throwing those crazy numbers out because they see that like in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years,
they're going to make it back.
This is a long game play. They're going to make it back.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is the beginning of the boom, in my opinion. And I don't see this calming down anytime soon. We have many years ahead of this.
Oh, and there's still so many companies coming.
There's still so many companies coming. I'm not a huge expert at economy, but I listen to plenty of economists and real estate specialists, and they're all saying the same thing. So, don't be afraid to pay over asking price. And, most times investors are like, oh, well, I have to get a deal, right? Like I can't pay this price. I have to throw a lowball offer. And while you can still make that happen, we still do it in our brokerage. There's, our brokerage has a wholesaling department and they still get off-market properties below market value. There's nothing wrong with getting something just the traditional way right now because you're still going to do really well.
You're going to do okay. And so if you can't invest in Austin and Orlando or Cedar Park, where would you go?
I think a good area is Houston. just because their price point is more attractive, even more so than Dallas. Dallas is still kind of pricey.
Okay.
But I think that when it comes to purchasing a property and then having it for like a buy and hold play, you get closer to the 1% rule. So the 1% rule is if you pay $100,000 for a house, you want to try and get $1,000 in rent, right? And in Houston, that city is really, really close to that 1% rule. So it means that you cash flow a lot easier.
Okay.
Here in Austin, you will not cash flow unless you put a tremendous amount of money down.
Sure. Sure.
And then same in Dallas, it's just not as great. So I would say look at Houston.
So would you say Houston or Killeen?
Okay, so we're not talking. Okay, so Killeen is starting to see the ripple effects.
Yeah, my parents are. Man, I hope they sell soon.
Yeah.
Or at some point.
Killeen and Gerald are already seeing the multiple offers up there.
Yep.
So, I mean, I know. Was it that bought in Gerald? Somebody in my brokerage, I think, recently bought in Gerald as an investment. Yeah, so that would be good.
Yeah, because my plan would be, we'll say hypothetically, I get 120. We'll say hypothetically. I gotta find a CPA. So if you're listening to this and you know either A, a good CPA, or B, you are a CPA, please reach out to me because I need to start getting that information pretty soon.
I got you.
Yeah, I need to figure out so we'll say we get 120, right? And the thought process would be to put minimum 20% down somewhere. For a rental property, invest another good portion of it in crypto or the market. Fuck the market, crypto. Shout out, dude, crypto is doing wonderful right now.
I know jack shit about crypto.
Oh man, it is killing it right now. Killing it.
Who is it that Elon just announced some new crypto?
So Tesla started accepting Bitcoin. Multiple places have now. You can go gamble in Vegas with your Bitcoin. Another big one is ETH. Now this is not financial advice. Another big one is ETH, as well as ADA. Honestly, at least the people who I trust and the people who know what they're doing, they pretty much just said just buy one and just hold. They said it really doesn't matter at this point. Just buy one and hold. But the three biggest ones in my opinion would be ETH, Litecoin, so Ethereum, Litecoin, and Cardano. Those are the three biggest ones. Those are the ones that are becoming more accepted at places. Of course, Bitcoin as well, but in my opinion, I don't see the point in investing in Bitcoin unless you have a ton of money. Because when it goes up, you're not really gaining that much unless you're buying a full coin. And then you got to have a ton of cash. And at that point, I would still put it in a smaller coin that's worth $1. Because if it ever hit $2, you just doubled your 60 grand instead of buying one Bitcoin and maybe it goes to 100 grand and now you only made 40. So that's my thought process on that.
I have no idea what you just said.
So,
I don't know anything about.
so most of the coins right now.
Oh, you please don't explain it to me because
Okay,
I'm going to glass over.
Fair enough.
No.
Cool. I'll save you the speech. The moral of the story is crypto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Crypto, fuck the market. The market is trash right
now. I agree. The market is too volatile.
Oh, it's so bad right now.
I do believe in having an actual asset though.
Yeah. So that would be the plan. And then invest in something, and then keeping a little bit for my Tesla truck because that's coming. Or I'm getting a Model 3. I got to drive the truck and I got to see the final product. I got to see the interior and see what they're doing, but it's going to be one or the other. But I plan on getting the truck because of that ice storm. That ice storm kind of was like, man, I don't want to get stuck somewhere. Like I want to be able to drive all the time. And gonna get that stealth wrapped. Shout out to Pristine Auto Detailing here in Austin. Hopefully we're getting him on here soon. And then like we talked about, going to Thailand. So then I have a rental property making me residual income, investments that should set me up in a couple years, and then I get to go do what I want.
Yeah.
Go train Muay Thai in Thailand for a couple months.
That'd be awesome. That'd be real awesome.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
I'm really jealous.
that would be a blast. and then just eat the food all day.
Yeah.
And we talked about some ideas, maybe with a second YouTube channel, etc. And so we have some other things that we're pondering as well that would be in relation to that trip. We also talked about Japan, Korea, and then Southeast Asia. So
I got a question for you.
Go for it.
What is your definition of success?
My definition of success, I don't think it's far off from yours. I think it is having the ability to do what you enjoy, make money from it, make enough money, and if it turns into something ginormous where you become buku rich, congrats. But if you can live, like if I could ever live off this podcast, not necessarily teach or coach Muay Thai, but help the fighters, because I don't know if I have the time to compete again, at least this year. So my primary goal now with Muay Thai is to get the fighters ready for November. So the people who want to do the same tournament that I did, there's another one in November. My primary goal right now is to help Brandon, help Megan, get those guys ready. That's my plan. And so success for me would be able to be financially free. If I want to take a weekend trip, just to be able to take a weekend trip, which also means not working the fuck-ass job that I do, so that I'm not always working weekends. So that way, when I do eventually ever, if I do have a family, that I'm not away on the important times in their life. Yeah, mainly it's just really just being financially free and just being able to do what I want when I want to. That's my definition of success. Yeah, I don't necessarily need to be rich. I've told Jeffrey this. I've always said 250 is a beautiful number. That's a perfect number, whether it's combined or just me alone plus whatever else. 250 is a wonderful number. You can do a lot of things with 250 a year. As long as you keep your house minimal, you stay around 300,000-400,000, get a decent house, drive decent cars, you don't overextend yourself, you can live pretty dang good. You want to go to Cancun for the weekend, there's really nothing stopping you. You want to go to Vegas one weekend, a couple grand is not a big deal at that point. And that's ultimately where I want to get. And
awesome.
Yeah, that's where I want to get. I just want to do the things that I enjoy. I want to just be able to go work out, do this, go to Muay Thai, but then still have time to do everything else. Because right now, we only have time to do this and go to work. And it's at the sacrifice of those other two things sometimes in order to try to get to where we want to be.
Well, just remember, your job is the vehicle to help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and that I talked about that the other night with my manager. We were standing outside and we were, talking about work and we don't necessarily enjoy the place. But I told him, I was like, I have to take a step back and be like, this job, regardless of my thoughts on it and my desire to be here and the management, et cetera, this job has now gotten me to the position that I'm at right now. This job has allowed me to buy this house in order to flip it. This job has allowed me to start this podcast because when I leave that job, there's zero stress. Ain't nobody calling me. Work will never call me. I could disappear and they still won't call me. It's just that, and I'm cool with that. They're not calling me. And so not having that stress, leaving work, it allows me to do everything else I want to do. And I have to take a step back and be like, it's really not that bad. And it's not that bad. It's really not. It's just every weekend, every holiday, we don't work any extra hours than anybody else, but we work the hours where everybody else is off.
Oh,
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, where you want to go hang out with somebody, or you want to go to a boat party, or somebody's hanging out on Saturday, and you're like, yeah, I wish that'd be cool. What's a Saturday?
Yeah, that's like my Monday.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, you must have it must be awesome having a flexible schedule, and I'm like, I have no. what are you talking about?
Yeah, especially right now.
No, like my clients work normal 9-to-5 jobs,
and then you're working afterwards.
I have to show properties in the evenings and on weekends, and then when I'm during Monday through Friday 9-to-5 is when I do all of my admin back end kind of stuff. So there is no flexible schedule. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of that, I guess that false truth. It's like, yeah, you don't work a schedule.
No.
But that just means you work more.
Yeah.
Really, because you're not clocking in or out.
Mm-mm.
And you're working all the time.
Yeah.
And you're never not clocked out.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So I'm always getting phone calls. Like,
yeah.
Like I had to set some boundaries, like with my West Coast people, like, hey, like I'm available pretty much from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. That's 12 hours a day. Yeah, I'm available on weekends.
That's
like,
enough. Yeah.
Please don't text me at 11 o'clock at night because I will not respond to you.
Yeah. And it's good, but you have to find that balance.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
Oh, yeah.
Because you still got to spend time with your family.
Yeah.
You still got to put.
I do, which is a struggle for me because let's go back to like the whole story of my upbringing and like how I constantly was like wanting people to accept me and think that I do a good job and their views of me are so important. If I don't answer them, how are they going to think that I'm like a Slack agent? Are they going to go and find somebody else? Are they going to, so I have both sides going.
Yeah, but if they do, fuck them.
I mean, I do have to have my sanity.
Right?
And
you
not
have to.
get an ulcer.
You have to. It's the same thing I was just talking about with getting the roommates. I could get the roommates, and yes, the house could be worth double what I'm going to get in a couple months. It could be worth double in just another 6 months or a year. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's worth my sanity.
Yeah.
I don't know. And anything could happen. It could crash, or it could just normalize and just not go up no more, and it could just stop. And then now I'm just living with roommates just to live with roommates, and I'm not gaining anything from it.
Yeah.
And then I got to be like, hey, I'm selling the house, and then now 3 people have to find a new place, and then now I'm the bad guy, because it'd be the same kind of concept. It'd be like, well, damn, I don't want to just throw y'all out, but this isn't making me no more money.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, handing someone $5,000 and them handing me back a check. It's a once in a lifetime. I mean, we're living in this crazy market that only happens every so often, and it's a perfect storm.
This has never been recorded. What we're seeing in Austin is never. I mean, it's like crazy.
It's we saw an outlier of an outlier.
20% appreciation in some neighborhoods in 1 month. Yeah, in 1 month. It's crazy. I hate using the word unprecedented, but it's unprecedented.
But it is, though. Yeah, it's wild. When you try to explain to other people what's going on here, they don't get it.
Yeah.
Or even people who are living here who aren't really paying attention.
Yeah.
They don't even get it.
Yeah.
Like, people come to work. What do you mean I can't get the couch for 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah. Where have you been?
What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
Where do you work? Where do you live that you haven't been affected by all this craziness? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what? It's just like, how? How are you been this oblivious? How do you have no idea that probably 1 million people have moved here? Or by the end of the year, I'm sure the population went from like 1 million to, I would imagine that it doubled.
I think they're saying it's 170 a day.
170 people?
I think that's what I heard latest.
Since when? Like, did it say? Like,
it used to be 150.
Okay.
I want to say, but now it's 170.
So about 20 extra people every month or every day.
Every day.
It's a lot.
I think that's the stat. If I'm wrong, please don't quote me. But I think
that's 500 extra people a month.
Let's Google.
Oh, you don't have to Google
this.
Google. Dang, Jeffrey, slacking over there. You got her over here on her phone Googling.
So 150 a day would be 54,750 people a year, and now we're at 170.
I feel like there has to be more than that. I feel like that can't.
62,000 people.
So an influx of
62.
Yeah.
I think that's the latest number I heard.
I feel like there has to be more than that.
It feels like it.
Oh, yes. Definitely does. We talk about that's a running joke at work too. It's like, how have we not sold everyone yet? Like, we've been so busy for over a year, and it's like, how have we not sold all of y'all yet? Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Don't get it. Y'all keep coming in, which I'm grateful for. But at the same time, it's just like, damn, like, this is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's been busy consistently for a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been crazy.
It's so counterintuitive. Like, the fact that we've, like, seen our industries do so well while in a pandemic.
Yeah.
It just is very counterintuitive.
Yeah. That's another thing that we talk about often at work too. It's crazy how something could be so devastating to a group of people, but so beneficial to another group of people. I made $20,000 more than the year before last year. And I was out of work for 6 weeks, and I still made 20 extra grand. What?
Yeah.
20 extra grand selling furniture? That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a big jump. Nobody gets a $20,000 raise. You got to go find a whole new job.
Unless you own a home, then you can make that in a month.
That's I know all the people who are living here in Austin who have had their home for the last like 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're loving it.
I think we've made close to 200 in 2 years on our house. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Not even 2 years, because we bought in September of 2019, and I think comps right now are showing us right around 200 more than what we purchased it. Yeah.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Yeah. So.
Well, we're not going to end it yet, but we're getting close to our time crunch, guys. So we have about 15 minutes left. And common thing we like to end it with is your goals. Give me 2 personal goals and 2 work-related goals that you want to achieve by the end of the year, middle of next year, sometime within a year.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is actually, my personal is actually kind of embarrassing. I need to lose like 30 pounds that I've gained since COVID and dealing with the grief of my friend.
Yeah.
Like, I packed on the LBs.
Nobody can tell.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're still in the gym all the time.
I can tell. I've hired Tyra.
Sure.
Better Fit and Fed.
Hey, Better Fit and Fed. Shout out to Tyra.
I sadly have been so busy I haven't been able to adhere to it as well as I would like to.
Tyra's sitting there like,
I know.
She haven't fucking done nothing yet.
She saw my check-in, I'm sure, and she was like, what the hell, Erin? Like, you didn't even log all your food. Anyways, so that is one of my personal goals.
Okay, that's one.
The second one kind of corresponds with my professional. I want to be able to find better balance so that I can spend some genuine quality time with my girls.
Okay.
Because I work too much.
Okay.
Yeah. So I crave having time to be able to connect with them, and just like the idea of being able to put my phone and my computer away for 2 days is just crazy right now. And I want to be able to get to that point because I need to be there for those.
Well, yeah, because like you said, it's so crazy right now. Those people that are going to miss you for the 2 days, they're still going to be there 2 days later. Like, what are they going to do? Like, yeah, they might go and search for somebody else, but that's a very small percentage of people.
Yeah.
I think think about how lazy most people are. You're telling me that they're going to go find a whole nother real estate agent? Like,
yes.
Small portion.
People also have immediate gratification.
Sure, but...
You don't answer the phone, that's it, I'm going to go on to the next person. Like, that's just how our industry is, and it's like this for mortgage lenders, it's like this for me. If you're not available, click, I'm going to the next person. Whoever
it just seems like so much effort. They should put that effort towards everything else they do in their life. They'd probably be able to do something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll count that as 1 personal and 1 work related. So 2 and 1. What's one more work?
I have a magic number as far as production that I want to do wise, and that number is 15 million. I would like to meet that this year.
And so gross sales.
And gross, yes. Gross commissions.
Okay.
Or, no, gross sales.
Yeah, I was about to say gross commissions. Woo! Gross commissions. Hey, Jeffrey, end this shit, bro. We got to get on it.
On me, yo.
Hey, we got to get on it right now. End it, yo. Pause it. Yo, no, don't even pause it. Don't just stop the recording. We're done. We're done. We got other shit to do.
No. I wish.
No. I mean, that would still pay really well, though.
Yes. Yes.
Hell
so I
yeah.
have that magic number in my head.
Where you at so far?
I have currently closed and contracted 6.25 is what I calculated today.
Just
this morning.
a little under halfway.
A little under
and
half.
We're
and
not
I'm
even in August. August. Quick math.
Not even in May.
June.
Not even in May.
Well, I was saying half the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was saying you're a little over halfway, and we're not even at the half point of the year, but I said August.
So, and I've already beat what my volume was last year as far as contracted and closed. So I've already beat last year.
Yeah.
And so my goal was like basically three times what I did last year, and I've already contracted and closed.
And almost halfway there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's my magic number.
That's awesome. So when we bring you back on, we'll have to make sure that you hit that number.
Oh, jeez. No pressure.
All the pressure. All the pressure.
We will make sure that you
lost
15 million and lost
30 pounds. Yep. Both. Ooh.
Tall order.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, in order to do 15 pounds, you probably have to skip a meal too, so.
Yeah. We're not trying to do that, Tyler. No, we're trying to get my calories up. So one of the things that we talked about that we didn't get to touch on is I had an eating disorder. The drugs helped, but I was anorexic, and I then went into figure competitions. I did 3 of them. You eat very, very strict.
Mm-hmm.
I basically ate very low calorie for a long time, and so I've just had I need to get my body trained to eat at a higher maintenance rate than 1,500 calories a day.
Yeah.
So
what's the goal?
Oh man, I love to eat, so if I could get to like 2,200, that would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
That would be awesome.
And that's what I was eating for the fight.
Yeah, but I'm barely 5 foot. I'm a weeble wobble.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't. I don't know if I'll be able to eat that much, but man, I would
that'd be
like
fun.
that. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Get to work out and eat 2,200 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of me eating like 3,800.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be nice.
Well, I mean, right now we're right around 1,750, I want to say, is kind of where we're at. So not too far off.
No.
You know.
It's not that far off at all.
I mean, it's going to take some time, and I have to be able, first of all, I talk about losing 30 pounds as being like a goal, but my other goal is to be able to eat more calories and have a higher maintenance, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? Because I have to be able to feel comfortable being a little bit fluffy and larger, and that's probably what's going to happen while I increase calories is I'm not going to necessarily lose weight. So
gonna get strong.
Hopefully.
You see Tyra's video this morning?
Yes.
185 overhead squat.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
And then Austin 315. I was there when it happened. I recorded it.
Yeah.
And I was still like, the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. It's crazy, but
they're beasts, and I'm glad that they're there because it's like inspiring and motivating.
Oh,
to,
dude, I love
to
going
see
there.
them.
Oh yeah, they're absolute savages. I love it. I love it so much. It's the same thing about the Muay Thai. The people at Muay Thai, they're just all savages. Man. We all pay to get punched in the face.
Yeah,
we're not getting paid to be punched. We're paying to be punched. We got issues. Well, first off, thank you so much for doing this. I really enjoyed this episode.
Why, thank you. I really enjoyed being here.
I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy this episode.
I hope so.
I think this episode was fantastic.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking a busy time. So not only are you busy with work, but you're also, one of your goals is to spend more time with your family, but you took the time to do this. And that means a lot to me.
Well, it's important, you know. I want to support you, and I also felt like there was something to say, to let other people know that there's other people going through shit, and you can overcome.
And you can do it too.
Yeah.
That's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook. I don't even know. Erin Morrison.
Don't you have a real estate page on Facebook, right?
It is. It's Erin Morrison, Austin Realtor. If you just go to Facebook and look that up, you'll find me. And then I'm on Instagram. I think it's Erin Sells Austin.
Yeah. Erin _sells_ Austin.
Yeah.
Boom. Go and follow her. If you need somebody, I can't recommend her because my real estate agent's going to kill me. but wink, wink. You can spread the love 1 and 1, please. 1 to Erin, 1 to Caitlin, 1 to Erin, 1 to Caitlin. No, I hope both of y'all succeed. She's absolutely crushing it too.
I'm excited to meet her.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to meet her soon.
Yeah, we got to get y'all together.
Yeah.
She is, dude, she is so hardworking. She made the house buying experience so simple, and she managed to get me a house in this market too. Mm-hmm. She's incredible. She's also huge in the gym. Speaking of which, she needs to come to Streamline. We have been talking about this since I started coming to Streamline. She's still doing Gold's Fit. Mm-hmm. She enjoys it, but she wants to take that next step, but she feels like she's not good enough to come to Streamline. And I keep telling her, I was like, I don't know who you think goes to this gym. Like, yeah, Austin's a savage, Tyra's a savage, there's some savages there, but the majority of the people going to the gym are pretty ordinary folks.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, there's well, I take that back. We got Kelly and Candace, and okay, so there's some beasts at the gym. There's some beasts at the gym. But no, Caitlin, you'd fit right in, man. So when you listen to this episode, come to Streamline. At least just come on a weekend and just do one of the workouts. You'll really enjoy it. But yeah, we got to get y'all together. Get y'all to exchange information, and yeah, that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will see y'all on Friday, guys.